Hey horror fans, once again it's the Horror Miser Monty G. It's time to do a review of Netflix's hit show Stranger Things Season 3. Yes. Now, Stranger Things is a Netflix sci-fi horror TV show that was created by the Duffer Brothers. It stars Winona Ryder, David Harbour, Wynn Wolfhard, I hope I pronounced that right, Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gaitlin Mazerazzo, Caleb McLaughlin, and Noah Schnapp. I think I might have butchered some names up right now. This is season 3 of Stranger Things. It's a very popular show, very popular among the horror community. Now, I actually binge watched season 1 and 2 because I didn't want to go into season 3 blind. So I did that first. I finished just watching season 3 a couple days ago, and now here's what I have to say about Stranger Things Season 3. Now, this is a year after the events in Season 2. This takes place in 1985. We have this new mall called Starcourt, which unfortunately is drying up all the mom and pop businesses. And let's see what's happening with all the gang. Micah and Elder into their relationship, and so are Lucas and Max. Everyone seems to be in their nice relationship. Even Dustin, who's returned from science camp, he said he has a girlfriend that he met at science camp called Susie. And Will, he's still adjusting from his ordeal from the mind flare. We also learned that Nancy is interning at the local newspaper with Jonathan, and unfortunately she has to deal with a bunch of male chauvinistic pigs and don't give her any respect whatsoever. It's horrible. Now, unfortunately, while all this is going along, we find out that Russians have infiltrated the energy plant, and for some unknown, godforsaken reason, are trying to open the portal to the upside down. What the hell is wrong with these people? Now, this allows the mind flayer to enter our dimension. He comes up as a smoke thing, and for some odd reason, kills a bunch of rats, and they explode them into these gooey-like substances. It reminds me of a scene from I think it was called Parasite Eve, when the rats just turn inside out. And he becomes this huge blob-like monster. Ugh, disgusting looking. Great practical effects, I give them that. Later on, he hijacks Billy. That's Max's stepbrother that we saw in Season 2. And we see that the Mind Flayer has a new plan to take over Hawkins and I guess he invade our world. Because that's basically what we believe that's what the Mind Flayer does. He goes from dimension to dimension, going on and conquering other worlds. And now wants to conquer ours. Now, throughout the season, in Season 3, we see this plan take shape, with Billy acting as his centerpiece or his conduit. He kidnapped several people, including his co-worker Heather from the pool. They are both lifeguards, and then her family, and that's where the blob monster injects some type of parasite into them, becoming part of the monster itself. This is where parts of the episode and the series gets into a invasion of the body snatcher type play, because that's what we see later on as the season progresses. We see Jonathan and Nancy trying to solve this particular problem when one of their neighbors, but when somebody calls them mentioning dead rats. And what's called, we get some interesting stuff on that. And like I said, some of it just looks very disgusting. Now, one interesting thing they do this year, the storyline splits the gang into two. Now, we have Dustin, Steven, his co-worker Robin at the mall, and eventually Lucas' sister Erica. They discover a hidden Russian base after they decipher the code that Dustin heard at the end of the first episode. And at the same time, the rest of the gang, they realize that the Mind Flayer is back and try to figure out how he came back, how to locate it, and how to just kick his ass one last time and destroy him utterly from coming back from the upside down again. Now, that's basically the main focus of the storyline as far as Season 3 is concerned. Now, obviously, we have some interesting subplots that take place while this is happening. One of the interesting things is the relationship between Max and Elf Brooks in Season 1. One of the things, the vocabulary has increased. Now, she still, unfortunately, takes things literally. That's one thing she still hasn't learned yet. But that's just the greatness of the character. One of the things that one of the things that Elle is that her and Max become BFFs. She was a little weary of Max because she thought she was after Mike, but I think in this season they become BFFs. Max teaches her how to do girly things, like going shopping, trying on makeup, shoes, and what her opinions of what boys are, which I thought was funny. It was a great interaction between the two actresses, and they seemed to pull it off very nicely. Another thing going on with Elle is her relationship with Hopper. Now, I like how Hopper is having a tough time dealing with Elle's relationship with Mike, and he does what most dads do. Now, he actually talked to Joyce at one point, and he said, well, you don't want to not stop them seeing them because they're going to rebel. So you should have a heart-to-heart conversation with them. But he does what most dads does with Mike. He threatens him, not with physical harm. He gets Mike to lie to Elle so don't spend too much time together, which I thought was funny. But that's dads for you. Now, another relationship that really hasn't happened, but it should have, are Joyce and Hopper. Now, it's clear they really like each other and they want to be with each other, but for some reason, they're just either too scared or too nervous, and that's the reason why they just argue with each other, because they feel as though if they get together, they're going to be hurt, which is understandable, especially what's happened. We already know what's happened to Hopper, and especially what happened to Joyce last season. There was an excellent scene in Chapter 6, or Episode 6, when they're driving Hawkins, and when they're driving back to Hawkins with Murray and the Russian scientist that they captured. And Murray goes on this tirade about their mutual attraction for each other. He said they should just go on ahead, get past their feelings, and start a relationship. Which, that I expected that. I believed that something should have happened, because I actually thought that was going to happen when I first started watching the first season. Because it's clear that they like each other, but I guess they were just too scared. Now, while dealing with the Russians in the underground base, we get some nice scenes between Steve and Robin. Now, they are a nice-looking couple. They work together at the Ships Ahoy ice cream scoop at the mall. If there is anyone that needs something good to happen to them, it's Steven. He seems to be kind of stuck. The character seems to be stuck, despite some of the changes he's made since season 1. I like his growth of a character. He's no longer the impetus jock guy that we first saw in season 1. And now here, he seems to be stuck. We really don't know what to do with his character. He didn't go to college. He's stuck at a very dismal job that doesn't obviously take care of his skills. But then again, we don't see any type of skill that he has, and he has here. But I do like their relationship between Steven and Rob, especially after they get drugged and they pretend that they're high. I thought that was very funny. Now, one of the things I did like, we do get some nice monster effects towards the end of season 3, especially during the hospital scene when Nancy and Jonathan are attacked by Bruce and Tom from the newspapers, who have been taken over by the Mind Flayer. They're both possessed. Now, when both of them are killed, the body turns into this gooey mush, and it looks disgusting. And then all of a sudden, they look like the Blob from the remake, and they join to form some mini Mind Flayer. Very nice, good practical effects in there. Now, after Elle kicks his ass and sends it out the hospital, it heads to the sewers, and then it forms with the rest of the Mind Flayer's blob-like body. It's then, later on, we see what the final plan is the Mind Flayer has. He's taking all the people as possessed that Billy got for it. They all melt and form this big, giant, blob-like monster form that the Mind Flayer that we saw in last season. I guess he wanted to get a corporeal body because he's not corporeal in form. He was able to possess Will last season, but this time, after being defeated last year, he feels as though maybe I need a physical form. So now we have him in this really gooey, blob-like monster form, which I really liked. I liked the effects of it. One of the things I didn't like this season was the so-called Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator ripoff, Spike Gory. Oh, God, please. He had his hair like Arnold did in the first Terminator in 84. I mean, the movie did come out in 80. I mean, this is set in 85. So I'm assuming that this is something they were trying to do. Now, I did enjoy most of the 80 callbacks that we get in this particular season. Especially with Back to the Future, or the movie Back to the Future, and other 80 references that we saw throughout the season. But this was not one of them. Got him talking like Arnold, walking like the Terminator. It was a surprise he didn't even have sunglasses on. I guess they felt as though that would have been too much if they did put sunglasses on him. Yeah, I did not like that particular aspect of the season, this Arnold the Terminator Schwartz. Oh, boy. And poor Will. He's been put on the back burner this season. Now, while Dustin, Mike, and Lucas all have girlfriends, Will seems like the odd man out. Now, I don't know if they're trying to play something on him. Later on, I guess we might discover his sexuality. I'm not going to say anything about it, but he really needs to get a girlfriend. But I guess he's also still holding on to the younger days back in season one, and my guess is that after what he's gone through in season 1 and 2, I guess the writers felt the kid deserves a break, and I didn't think he deserved a break neither. Now he still plays a critical role in the later part of the season, and I like that particular aspect. But he's kind of in the background this time. And once again, all the acting is top notch. Especially the children. I like what the children have gone through since we saw them in season 1. It's a natural progression that mostly all children experience growing up, and the writers have done an excellent job showing that here. You go from adolescents to preteens to teenagers, and I think that all the child actors have done a great job in expressing their growth since the first season. Yes, Mike, Dustin, Lucas, and Will still have their childlike moments because that's to be expected, but they're doing more things outside of their group, and that's basically what most friends do. Your friendships are going to change. You're no longer going to do some of the same things that you did, like maybe when you were 10 or 12, but now you're doing something different. You're doing things outside the groups where you meet new friends, where you're doing with your girlfriends. No, I like that aspect of the show and seeing how these 4 guys, how they've grown since we saw them the first season. Now, it was interesting to see Mike admit his love for Elle in front of everyone else. And also, but typical both boys and some men finds it hard to admit his feelings for Elle when talking directly to her. He fumbles and bumbles and stumbles and just goes all over the place until Elle finally admits that she loves him too, which I thought was cute. Teenage love. Now, of course, once the gate is sealed and the Mind Flayers has been defeated, we do get an unfortunate death, and that's Hopper. He sacrificed his life in the process when he was fighting the Russian guy, or the fake Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we do get to hear a wonderful note that he wrote regarding Elle's relationship with Mike, and hope that he's much happier for her, but he's also scared of how much he's lost and didn't want to lose her too. I thought there was a touching ending for such a great character, and it was sad to see him go because I did like Hopper of all the adult characters. I thought David Harbour and Winona Ryder do an excellent job of portraying these 2 characters, and it was sad to see him go. And it was also sad that that Joyce, Jonathan, and Will, along with Elle, are moving from Hawkins, and we get a sad farewell from the gang. We get a tender, touching moment, between Mike and Elle. We get another touching moment between Jonathan and Nancy. He's moving along with them as well. I thought it was a nice way to end the season, but I do have some questions. First of all, how did the Russians find a way to discover the breach and open up the gate to the Upside Down? That question did not get answered, but I'm assuming if we get an answer in season 4, I have my suspicions. Another question. What happened to all the people that the Mind Flayer possessed? Did they die when they melted? Now, we do get a post-scene credit or some flashes when we see the mayor get arrested for his cover-up. We also see that 30 people died, while doing this incident. And I'm assuming that they might be talking about those, but they don't ask him directly. So, unfortunately, it could mean that everyone died. We know that, unfortunately, Billy sacrificed himself to the Mind Flayer in a great scene where earlier Elle had entered his mind, and we get to see flashes of his unfortunately terrible childhood, where we see some very few happy moments he had as a kid. Unfortunately, seeing his father beat the crap out of his mother, and eventually he gets angry and he just takes it out on everyone else. So we know why Billy is the way he is, and it was nice for him to finally break off the influence of the Mind Flayer, and sacrifice himself for that cause. And it was a nice way for his character to go out as well. So now, I thought season 3 was pretty good. It's a nice show. Like I said before, this is the first time I actually got to see Stranger Things. A lot of people raved about it when it first came on. I think it was 2016, 2017. No, 2016, because they didn't have one last year. Yeah, for some reason it was 16. They had one. They didn't have one last year. They waited a year before they brought in season 3 this year. I was pretty impressed with how, like I said, love the child actors. Everyone's done a pretty good job. Winona Ryder and David Harbour are great as their character as well. I like the aspect, seeing these kids and how they are not afraid of this monstrous entity that's been after them since season one. I would like to see something a little bit different for season four. I think we had enough with the Upside Down. I think they just need to do other things with these kids besides just going on here with the Demigorgons and the Mind Flayer. I think after 3 seasons, it's time for it to try to do something up and mix it up. Now, you can still have the Mind Flayer, you can still have the Upside Down, but I think it's time for them to try to do something different because this now is the 3rd season we have to deal with the Upside Down and the Mind Flayer. And that can get old quickly. So even though these kids are great, let's try to do something a little bit different next season if Netflix brings this back for season 4. So, my horror fans, what do you think about season 3? Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy the relationships? Were you sad about Hopper's death? Leave your comments down in your comment section below and tell me what you thought about season 3 of Stranger Things. Well, that's my video for the day, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up because it's a channel online. And once again, this is your first time here, please hit that subscriber button and ring that notification bell. That way you can come and enjoy the horror experience with me, the Horror Miser Monty G. And as always, all my social media links will be down in the description box below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember, all the rules. Ha ha! I'll see you at the crawl coming this weekend. I'm out. Peace.